Alright, let's do this one more time. My name is Nero. I was bitten by a radioactive demon. From that day forth, my arm changed, and I became the one and only Demon Hunter. At least until the rest of my family showed up. Okay, let's rewind a bit. Nero's father, Vergil, has been one of the most overanalyzed characters in gaming. There's thousands of videos dedicated to this man, including one of my own, but I find as interesting, if not more, his far less discussed son, Nero. However, to fully understand this character, you have to start with his father, so I'll try to keep it short and simple. Vergil is obsessed with power. His obsession began when he was 8 years old, when demons who wanted revenge on his father, Sparda, broke into his house and killed his mother. Dante had one last moment with his mother, and while he was also traumatized, he remains more stable. Vergil not only didn't have that moment, feeling abandoned, but at 8 years old he had to defend himself against these demons. Forced to embrace his demonic side from this early age, he built this ideology where the only thing that matters is power. In his first battle against his brother, he accidentally reveals why he wants power so badly.
Foolishness, Dante. Foolishness. Might controls everything, and without strength, you cannot protect anything, let alone yourself.
He wants power to protect his mother, his family, himself as a child. But since that was in the past and impossible to fix, he moves his intent to the present. Vergil needs power to protect himself, because he was so traumatized by that attack that now he needs to be powerful to never again feel fear, never again feel helpless, and never again lose any loved ones. But that need for power is so intense that it drives him to seek it at any cost, even if he has to face his own brother, a loved one. I had to talk about all of this because Nero's origin is completely opposite to that of his father. It hasn't been fully revealed how the love affair between Vergil and a woman from the city of Fortuna came to be. The only thing that we know is that Vergil unknowingly left her pregnant, and this woman, alone, gave birth and left the child in an orphanage. The first years of Nero's childhood were those of a lonely orphan, but he befriended two other children, the siblings Credo and Kyrie. They became so close that their parents decided to adopt Nero. Again, it is not fully revealed how, but these unnamed parents were also killed by demons, which led Credo to become a member of the Order of the Sword, to protect the citizens of Fortuna from demonic threats. Nero follows his older brother's example and becomes a member of this order as well. And here, as soon as we start, we find something very interesting about the character that goes unnoticed. From the beginning, we see that Nero hates the city's religion and its events, but he not only participates in them, he is a member of it as a Knight of the Order. Why? It's actually very simple. As much as he hates these things, his family is part of it, and he's willing to put up with it as long as it allows him to be with his family. Being a member of the Order brings him closer to his brother, and participating in these events brings him closer to his girlfriend, who was his adopted sister Kyrie, but they have become a couple because this is a Japanese game. The funny thing is that it's still not as weird as when they try to pair Dante with a clone of his mother. Nero and Vergil are the same kind of person who have had totally opposite childhoods and events, leading them to be very similar but to have different attitudes and beliefs. Nero not only does not seek power, symbolizing his demonic arm, but hides it for fear of losing his family, unlike the one who wanted power so badly that he was willing to hurt his family, even though he loved them deep down. I haven't even started talking about the game's story, and I'm already bringing up interesting things, but when Devil May Cry 4 came out, Nero was somewhat poorly received. I wouldn't say he was hated, but quite a few fans held a bit of a grudge when he took the lead role away from Dante. After all this time, I think I've come to understand why. Dante and Nero are different. Dante is a lonely grown man with a business of his own who acts cool simply because he enjoys it, while Nero is a young man with a family, a minor member of an organization, and he acts cool because He believes that if he doesn't, he won't be taken seriously. That's why he fights the way that he does, brutally bludgeoning enemies with his fist and swinging his sword like a mace. He thinks that if he shows even the slightest hint of weakness, he will be perceived as helpless. But the Dante I describe is the Dante of Devil May Cry 1, 2, 4, and 5. Devil May Cry 3 is a prequel in which Dante is 19 years old, young, impetuous, rude, that is, quite similar to Nero. This is cool because you see the difference between the young Dante and the adult Dante, but it also leads to the fact that in order of release, we go from Devil May Cry 3 with a young and tough Dante with a need to prove he's strong and cool, to Devil May Cry 4 with a young and tough Nero with a need to prove he's strong and cool. This led to the very justified criticism that Nero was an inferior copy of Dante, which, while not true on a grand scale, if you look at his identical hair, similar clothes, and similar personality to the younger Dante, I understand why so many didn't like him, especially when you look at the very good story of Devil May Cry 3 and compare it to the, I don't want to say bad, but let's leave it at mediocre narrative of Nero's first adventure. Well, as I was narrating at the beginning, Nero's life changes when Dante shows up and appears to kill the Pope. But soon it is revealed that there is something mysterious and demonic about all this, and Nero's mission of hunting Dante changes to investigating what the hell is going on in the Order of the Sword. This brings us to the ironic confrontation of this game, as the Order is giving demonic energy to its soldiers to make them more powerful, but deceives them, telling them they are turning them into angels, when really they are turning them into minions to execute their own evil ends. So in this game you control a good demon facing off against evil angels. The knight who falls most into the deceptions of the Order's dogma is Nero's brother, Credo, who, despite his love for his family, manages to be manipulated into attacking Nero, convinced that his arm is proof that he is a demon, even though he himself has achieved this transformation thanks to demonic power that he believes to be angelic. Once again we are faced with a battle between brothers, but it couldn't be more different. For Dante and Vergil, their fights are half serious, half fucking around. The trauma of their childhoods combined with their opposing ideologies makes them really clash, but at the same time, they enjoy it. Because when they fight, it is the only time they are together again, like when they were kids. While Nero has no desire to fight his brother, Vergil threatens, taunts, and enjoys. Meanwhile, Nero looks sad before landing a punch. To defend themselves against Nero, the Order kidnaps Kyrie. Completely terrified at the thought of losing her, Vergil's need for power begins to appear in Nero, scaring Dante.
I need more power. I need this.
Nero goes all out to defeat the Order's leader, Sanctus, but they take advantage of their hostage to imprison him. And this is where Nero, fearing that he is going to lose his partner, doesn't see coming that the one he's going to lose is his brother. Unfortunately, this is when I must talk about something objectively negative, and it's that it's very noticeable that the game was rushed and needed at minimum a few more months in the oven, because Credo, a super important character for Nero and Kyrie, dies in Dante's arms, who doesn't know who he is, and when the plot ends, Nero and Kyrie are super happy, like, I accept you for who you are, even if you have a weird arm, from now on, we'll be happy. But your brother died like 5 hours ago, could you at least be a little sad? I still like the game, but this hurts to watch, let's just continue. At the end, you see once again the divergence between Vergil and Nero. When Nero discovers the whole mess of the Order, he also finds the sword of his father, Yamato, which makes him more powerful. Seeing him with that blade, Dante realizes that he is in front of his nephew, and decides to put him to the test. The test ends in his farewell. Dante pretends to have forgotten the sword, when Nero reminds him and tries to return it. Dante sees how Nero does not have the same obsession with power as Vergil. Being willing to let go of power makes you worthy of having it. Dante leaves him the sword because he sees that it is not the most important thing to him.
Hey Dante, will we meet again?
A decade later, Devil May Cry 5 came out, which decided to continue the plot we left behind in 4 and continue developing all the characters, and Nero was no exception. After being accepted by his partner, he builds a pretty good life compared to the kid we saw in the previous game. He has a stable relationship, a job he enjoys, he has strengthened old friendships and forged new ones. Kitty and him have even taken on the responsibility of being father figures to all the orphans in town. But part of that good life comes from Nero having the power to protect the ones he loves. What would happen if he suddenly lost that power?
I'm taking this back.
The beginning of Devil May Cry 5 makes Nero look like a useless, good-for-nothing idiot. He loses his arm, and when he tries to help his mentor, Dante, he does so badly that he gets insulted.
I can still fight! Go! You're just dead weight!
Those words haunt Nero throughout the game. It's the worst thing they could have said to him. If he's just dead weight, he can't save anyone. Just like he couldn't save his brother. So Nero, eager for revenge on the demon who took his power, teams up with Nico to build himself robot arms to tip the scales and goes on the offensive. The most important thing about all this is how Nero's need to prove that he is not weak leads him to make more than questionable decisions. He attacks Urizen twice, knowing that he can't do anything because for him, accepting that he is weaker than an enemy is something so terrible that he can't face it. Just like his father, who refused to accept that he was weaker than Mundus and ended up suffering a terrible fate. This game's Nero is mentally in a much worse place than he was in Devil May Cry 4, a place closer to his father's mentality. But he's still not lost, which we see with his relationship with V. He treats him with kindness when he has to choose between helping him or getting another chance at revenge. He knows what's the right thing to do and helps V keep going. After Urizen's defeat at Dante's hands, Vergil is reborn, and Dante is forced to reveal what he has been hiding since he met his nephew.
You don't get it.
Let me guess. I'm dead weight? Well, you can
That's
show
not
me.
it, Nero.
What is it then?
He's your father!
What?
Now, Nero must face many conflicting feelings. After accepting that he would never know his biological family and forging one of his own, he discovers not only that he has a father and uncle, but that his father was the one who tore off his arm. He has befriended the human half of his father who told him about himself, and he has waged battle against his demonic half, guilty of the deaths of many innocent people. It is when he talks to Kyrie that he manages to put peace to the chaos of his mind, and realizes what he is witnessing. Putting aside all his doubts, he sees that he is observing a duel to the death between brothers. Dante and Vergil have already clashed once, and it ended in tragedy. Nero and Credo faced each other, and it ended in tragedy. As someone who lost a brother, he doesn't understand why they are so quick to fight.
They're brothers? Why are they fighting each other?
To see one's justice through, a man must fight for it, even if the one who stands before him is his kin.
That's ridiculous.
After not mentioning Credo throughout the game, Nero reveals that he never stopped thinking about him.
I couldn't protect Credo. To this day, I hate myself for not having enough strength.
The demonic arm was powerful, but it was alien to Nero, and its power was limited. The robotic arm was powerful, but it was built precisely because of Nero's fear of not being powerful and his anxious anger for revenge, and its power was limited. It is now that Nero truly knows what he wants and what he must fight for. He doesn't want revenge and mustn't blindly fight to silence his screaming fears. He wishes to live alongside his family and fight for them. The true power is his love to everyone close to him. And then, the arm that would truly give him limitless power finally appears. human. It doesn't matter if you reject the way that you are or if you accept it, as long as you allow it to define you. Vergil and Dante are very different, but at the same time they are almost identical. Legendary Dark Knights, sons of Sparda, half demons. That's why their devil triggers take the form of classic demons. Nero couldn't care less about his origin. Nero defines himself by the people around him and how much he cares about them. Nero may be part demon, grandson of Sparda, but that's not how he defines himself. Nero is husband, brother, nephew, and son. Nero defines himself by his love for them, and that's why his devil trigger, while still demonic, has angelic traits. It's the same message in all the games. True power doesn't come from their demonic side, it comes from their humanity and their ability to love.
Dante, you'll be okay. You can do it.
What? Mother.
Maybe somewhere out there, even a devil may cry when he loses a loved one. Don't you think?
Maybe.
The power of Sparda! Why won't you give me strength? Am I not worthy?
Never could take those legends too literally. But I do know that Sparda had a heart. A heart that could love another person. A human. And that is what you lack.
Fuck, this mission is even called True Power. Although he had to go through his own journey and suffer his own misfortunes, after being adopted, Nero was never alone. And that allows him to have a mental and emotional stability that Dante and Vergil lack. A stability that allows him to live happily. Not depressed like Dante, not obsessed like Vergil. Happy and with love. That's why he represents the power of love and the power of family much more than the other characters. That's why this is a Devil May Cry where just this once, everybody lives. Dante may be the protagonist, but Nero is the true legacy of Sparda, the demon who found love and awakened to justice. See you next time.